All right, this is part 4 of my file folder junk journal. We're going to be talking this time about some of the parts and pieces that I put into my journal, in the pockets, and tucked in here. They're nothing really involved. It's very simple for most everything that we're going to do. These pieces are all made to go in this purple journal, so they have parts of the cover, the extra pieces all made for them. Something really simple that I've done is that I had some Project Life cards. I stuck them down with glue stick to some cardstock. I rounded the corners. I did a little stitching around them. Can you see that? Stitching. Probably not. There we go. That just made a few little cards that way. They'll be tucked into the signatures. I like to use book pages, and on the back of the book pages, I like to have something to write on, so I have simply stuck some lined paper to the back of the book pages. I rounded the corners again. Corner rounder. Oops, would help if I rounded it properly. There we go. And then I did a little distress ink around the edge of that. And these are just, journal spots that can be tucked into the book. And by having the lined paper on the back, and this, since it has a second line down, it probably came from a steno pad. Stuff I had. I also do little folded ones, and that is just a big square of book page, again with the corners rounded. I like the corners rounded for some reason. And again with lined paper on the back. I mean, this is probably out of an old notebook because it's not the steno paper. So I just can fold it and once again do a little inking around the edges. It's just something to make it look cuter. Nothing fancy on these. These are very simple journal spot pieces. Again, another square of book paper with lined paper on the back, and I use Mod Podge to stick the book paper to the lined paper. I water it down just a touch so it's a little bit thinner than it comes out of the container, and I just do this, and I use a old credit card or old this is like a coupon card, and I just put the Mod Podge and squish it together. And I keep them. I keep that kind of stuff sitting around so that I have it. This piece is just square, corners rounded, folded in half, and again, the edges inked. Okay, so that's a big pile of them. Another thing you can do, and this is some of the leftover cardstock from all my other decorating and whatnot. It's just cardstock, white on the back. I just rounded the corners, and I won't fold these. I'll just leave them and tuck them in the envelopes and things. This is pieces left of the scrapbook paper. I just rounded the corners and folded them. All of these will just go in. Those are all the real simple things. Very, very simple, not hard to do. This is, a little bit more involved. Okay. I took some of the creamy colored paper that I took out of an old journal, and I glued pieces to that, and then I use some of the cover stock, I use some of the card stock. So I have these pieces glued on. Then I just take them to the sewing machine and sew around them. Can you see? There we go. I don't know if it's focusing or not. There we go. But it just gives me nice sheets that I can tuck in the journal. They have a little decoration on them, and they give you lots of places to journal. Okay, now we're going to do some little tag things. And this is just a real simple little tag, stitched around. Now this is a secret tag. Okay. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. This is a paint chip, and it looked just like a tag. You can see the little paint number right there on the corner. Don't know if you can see it focused. Focus, focus, focus. Okay, so what I did was I Mod Podged some book page to it. This happens to be foreign language book page. I had to cover up this little piece on the back, so I took a little piece of washi tape, I wrapped it around. It adds to the decoration. I stitched all the way around it, so you can see the stitching. There we go. And then I just glued a few pieces of decorative cardstock on there, and I took one of my little words from my sheet of words and glued it down. So nothing very involved, but really cute, and again gives me a place to journal. Okay, now then, these are 3x5 index cards that don't have any lines on them. I've had them in my stash for a while, and if I want to make a tag out of it, I will glue a piece of paper to it, round the corners. See how I've rounded the corners? Now here's how I get the top part, and I'm going to do it before I glue anything down. I just take my scissors and I cut a piece off at an angle, and I take this little piece that I just cut off and I sit it over here on top of that, and I cut right along it. Now I have a shape of a tag, and this is what it would look like. So I just glue some paper to it and round up the corners, add a few little decorative pieces of paper, and then add my little words, and I end up with another tag that I have stitched all the way around. Now, if you didn't want to stitch, I said yesterday you don't have to stitch anything, but I was thinking last night that you could just draw around it with a marker, give it just some little edge, and then I just take my punch and punch a hole. So that's all those. Okay, this is a fun one. These little pieces of paper were left from all the little tuck spots and things that I made, so I glued them to the tag piece this way. You notice that the paper is off the edge, So I have this little piece with the paper hanging off the edge. Now, I don't like to waste anything, so I'm going to cut those little pieces off. I'm going to save them. And then this tag, I just again added a couple of little pieces and a word. Again, punching the hole in the top. Now, I'll probably go through and put ribbons in most of these. It's, you know, just one of those things. And again, this is just started with some 3x5 card that I've got in my stash of stuff. Now, those little pieces that we cut off, got to do something with those. We can't have them just hanging out. So, I had some sheets of Steno pad, and I just glued these. Just going to glue these on here like so. Okay, I've got 2 minutes left. I gotta hurry up. Okay, so they're glued on and I just stitched around them. So again, great places. Okay, and then this is some book paper. And these are glued to some 3x5 cards that had this big ideas across the back. So I just rounded the corners, stitched around it. And these are some little tags I made. Now, you don't want your brad to come all the way through to the back, so I punched a hole in my little piece that I'm going to glue down with my little hole punch thing. Make a little bit bigger hole. Put my little tiny cute tags on there. Put it in. I will open the brad up. And then I'll just glue it down, the whole piece down to my little tag. That just is all my little pieces that I'm going to stick into my different spots in my book. Remember, you've got all your little envelopes. Yeah, those aren't going to fit in there. Got a tuck spot back here. Got some of these cards that will fit in the envelopes. So that's what they're for. And that is part 4 of your file folder art journal. Sorry for the light this afternoon, but I had to get this done. Hopefully this will be all right and you'll be able to see everything. Thanks, and if you like these videos, please let me know by subscribing, make comments, give it a thumbs up. I'm going to get this one finished up in the next few days, and I will do a journal flip